Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rage, and we are back today to break down Blue Marvel and the first Purple 5 event that starts today in terms of a leaderboard. Unfortunately, they kind of stopped adding these in-game in terms of just the preview state to get information. So, for the purpose of this video, guys, I want to walk you guys through how exactly we're going to do well in this event and which players should be interested in this event. It's not going to be available for all players. I believe it's only going to be some of the highest commander levels, but at the same time too, this is for one of the most powerful characters coming to Marvel Strike Force right after Xavier and as well as Odin. So it's a really worthy addition that's going to be quite meta changing in my honest opinion. So let's get into it. I want to break down the event because I'm still seeing quite a bit of confusion on how this event is going to be dictated, even though they do have a blog on it, because there are a little different dynamics that we haven't seen in past events. And I want to walk you through as well which players, ideally should be the ones focused, because again, like I said, this is not going to be for everyone. So there are 3 events in total, in case you guys missed the count from the blog, and it's starting, like I said, today at 2 p.m. Pacific is kind of the goal. Sometimes there's hiccups, sometimes there's some errors or issues once the patches go live, but we expect that this should have no issues because they've had previous history of running these events. The difference is that there's going to be 2 Alliance events that are actually running at the same time, all tying back to the big main one being the Curse of Eternity, as you can see here. The Curse of Eternity is going to be the main one for the leaderboard that is going to reward you more ISO 5, depending on how you do. Blood Rain as well as Plague Rising are going to be dependent on, if you're interested in that specific event with your alliance. But the interesting dynamic of this is that they're both alliance events, so that means depending on how well you do with your alliance and how you stack up against other alliances, right? So just something to be mindful of there. Okay, so Curse of Eternity, like I said, this is the level 5 Purple Ions one. In addition, there's Living Mummy Diamonds, if you care about that in terms of just adding to your roster. But what I want to point out here, ladies and gentlemen, is how you're going to be scoring points, right? Aside from earning the Hellcat Diamond Orbs, battling in Raid, if you have Living Mummy unlocked already, he's going to be adding some points with respect to just using him in battle, as well as if you have him at 5 stars and above, that can give you a little bit of an extra edge in this event. But in my honest opinion, I think the difference maker in how we're going to be out-competing each other is going to be quite simply, as highlighted on screen here, the opening of these vampire or zombie orbs. So obviously a little bit of a typo there. I think they was meant to say or zombie, not of zombie. But that's as simple as it gets. It's the simple opening of these vampire or zombie orbs. So which begs the question then, what exactly are these orbs? Well, if you head over to the supply store, you are going to be using surplus training modules. Yes, you read that right. They believe that we all have more training materials than we need, and we're going to be converting these surplus training modules to open orbs. So it's interesting, right? In the last couple of weeks with these leaderboard events, they've really stretched us in terms of resources of how they've been used as inputs. In the past, campaign energy, hoarding, that has been effective strategies. But even just a couple weeks ago, we had to convert our gold into certain orbs for adding points to the milestone event. And then we also had the power cores one recently, right? And now it's going to be training modules. So they're really trying to just deplete players' resources. You have to think about it from Marvel Strike Force and Scopely's angle, is that they know what the reserves are in everyone's balance and the roster, right? So if they feel like there is going to be an influx or it's higher than they expected, they insert events like this to kind of level it out and try to deplete that overall supply, so that way we are consistently catching up to the meta and so forth, right? It creates FOMO, of course, and obviously opportunities to monetize. Now, I do want to point out there's an important distinction between these 2 events here for the Alliance, right? One is going to allow you to earn Vampire Shards, and the other is going to allow you to earn Zombie. So obviously, it's going to be a no-brainer. We both know here, like everyone knows which one's going to be the more popular one. If there is even Zombie Kestrel Shards, the Zombie Plague Rising is for sure going to be a hot topic, right? And then, just think about Zombie Scarlet Witch as well. I mean, there hasn't really been more shards of her since her addition into the game last year. So, I mean, this could be a really, really competitive one as opposed to the Vampire one where, we already have most of the Vampires unlocked in our roster. It's just going to be an additional fodder for our store credits, if you will. So yeah, that's kind of the decision we have to make, right? I believe it'll be interesting if they both add the same amount of points. If they do, then obviously you want to do better in the alliance event, but one's going to give you shards you don't have, and then the other one's going to just, again, add to the store credits. So it's a pretty simple decision here, which means that the Zombie Plague Rising is probably going to be the very competitive one, especially since you're going to be able to earn a zombie character shards over vampire, and you're also going to be adding to the purple ISO 5 leaderboard event with the Curse of Eternity. So what's not in the blog and from the data mines, and this is going to be released the moment the game updates and obviously has the event starting, is that you can actually use your power cores to convert into more training modules. So this is a X factor, and this is also why I always preach on my channel over and over, guys. Power cores are the most important resource in the game because they still continue and remain to be the pivot resource that we need in event situations just like this. So in the data mines, and again, they don't have this publicly released yet or officially announced because they just don't want to give players ample time to adjust, right? And that's why, guys, I highly recommend, myself or other content creators that do the data mines, right, is that you want to follow someone that has insight before these events go live, so that way you can best prepare, especially if you're free to play like myself. So you can see here in the data mines that power cores can be converted here to valuable L4 training modules, which can then be used to unlock the vampire or the zombie orb. So in other words, how big your supply of training modules plus power cores is ultimately going to be translating to this Curse of Eternity leaderboard event in terms of points. So now you got to make some decisions for yourself, right? Is this an event you want to partake in? Given now that you know both power cores and training modules are going to be the direct inputs on how you gain a competitive advantage against your opponents. I would not recommend this event for anyone that's already strapped and bottlenecked by training materials. If you're close to completing, one of the Dark Dimensions, Age of X, and you need every single, training material to actually level these characters up, I wouldn't recommend partaking in this because there is going to be more level 5 ions to come, right? This is the first one. It's not going to be the last one. They want to always make sure that they're distributing this, so obviously players have a chance to have that carrot to chase, if you will. So would not recommend that. If you guys are already, having a hard time keeping up with the meta as it is with new raid teams, and after yesterday when we saw the leak of the immortal weapons, it looks like a possible raid team coming very, very soon here as well. So I think this is meant for obviously spenders and whales because they know that they're going to have ample resources, especially since they've already completed everything in the game. It's going to be for players like myself that are free to play, that have hoarded quite a bit. I am in a pretty healthy position in both power cores and training modules. So I can, let's just say I can even spend like 10-20% of that supply and do quite well in this event. So this is the event it's kind of meant for, right? The super engaged end game players that already have everything unlocked, whether free to play or whether pay to play, regardless, this is not a intended event for those newer. It's not an intended event for those that just got to the end game trying to catch up with the meta, so I wouldn't recommend that, guys. But I will provide an update. We'll see what this looks like. We'll see if there's any changes, but for what we know right now, that's everything you need to know for this event that's going to be starting today in just a few hours, guys. So I hope this helps you guys out. Let me know down in the comments below. Are you interested? Are you going to be partaking in this event, or are you skipping? I'm always eager to hear back. Thank you for your time as always. Happy Friday, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.